I set a personal ultimatum. If XRP fell under $3 again, I was out. Well, it happened, didn't it? XRP dipped under $3. Actually, it tagged $2.69 just the other day. And guess what? I didn't sell. Instead, I did something that surprised even me, and it might change how you see the entire XRP ride. So there I was, staring at a red chart, watching XRP print $2.69, the lowest since July. Now my stomach dropped just with it. I've held this coin for what feels like forever, and seeing it slide again was a punch in the ribs. So I caught myself asking, after all of these years, was I wrong about XRP? Now, is this bull run done? And I know that I'm not alone in this. Some long-time holders are fed up. I even saw an OG say that he would sell every last coin if we retraced to $2 after more than a decade of holding. Now you can hear the fatigue in that, and I felt it too. I almost joined him, right? Almost. Because late last night, as I was kind of hovering over the sell button, I ran into three clues that made me kind of step back from the ledge. Now, if you've got any skin in this game, you're going to want to hear this before you make any move. So let me rewind. I found XRP when it was a tiny blip. I was that wide-eyed newbie thinking, this is it, easy money. Spoiler, no. I rode the 2017 euphoria, then watched the 2018 crash erase the euphoria and then some. I held through the bear market, through the lawsuit drama, through the drip news cycles that always seemed to be almost something. And yeah, I just kept buying when it looked hopeless, because stubbornness is a new hobby now. In 2025, when we finally broke out and brushed past old highs near $3, it kind of felt like vindication. Then the market did what markets do. They pull the rug for a few weeks, and we slid all the way back down to the $2 range. Now that stings. After a sting of promises and delays, you start to wonder if the kind of punchline's actually on you, right? And yesterday was my kind of breaking point. Picture this, right? I'm glued to my phone. XRP at 2.7, or at least, yeah, 2.7 something, and kind of just dropping lower. I'm exhausted, and I had my BitGet app open. By the way, guys, if you use my BitGet link that's in the description, that is an affiliate link that supports the channel here at no extra cost to yourself. And that was my fun was, of course, just hovering over that sell button, right? I was this close to nuking my whole bag. I even thought about moving to another exchange I use, like Blowfin, also affiliate link that's in the description, supports the channel. And I thought about this, about rotating into something maybe more exciting. Maybe throw it into Bitcoin, or, you know, for safety, or chase a cheeky little meme coin for a quick pop. That's where my head was, frustrated, tired, and a little heartbroken. Now, holding for years through every twist and turn, only to consider bailing right when the crowd is the most miserable. It's kind of like I was supporting a football club, for at least that kind of concedes in stoppage time every single match. Eventually you ask, why am I doing this to myself? Then I froze. I didn't hit sell. I just couldn't. Instead, I started digging around, and I pulled up charts, scrolled through posts, hopped into our free educational Discord. Seriously, there's a link for that also in the description. And it's where, you know, we keep each other sane. And I went looking for something that made sense. Maybe I wanted hopium. Maybe I needed a rational reason to stay. But what I actually found were three signals that felt like breadcrumbs leading me away from a dumb, emotional decision. So, those breadcrumbs, they came from a chart update by an analyst that I follow. This is 𝗗𝗗𝗀𝗃. And before the TA is witchcraft kind of crowd piles in on me here, look, I get it. But the big takeaway wasn't squiggles that go up, it was zoom out. 𝗗𝗂 laid out 3 reasons why the bull structure is actually still alive, and I'm translating them into plain English for you guys. First, the monthly structure. Now, reminds us, at least kind of the monthly structure, I should say, is intact still, right? So let's think of the big zoomed out chart as a blueprint of a building. You can have, scuffed up paint and a leaky window, sure, but if the beams are solid, well, the house still stands, doesn't it? That's kind of what this looks like. Even with the pullback, those fat green candles that carried us up higher haven't been invalidated. The bones are good. The staircase didn't collapse. The market isn't telling a brand new story here. It's just pausing the same one. The second thing is that we haven't lost any major Fibonacci levels. So think of human-sized kind of explanation here. Traders may keep ratios that tend to act like floors and ceilings. One of those floors sits around $1.99, and it's been acting as a bit of a doormat that refuses to let the price fall through. So even with the selling that's happened, we didn't crack below it. In other words, the big floor didn't give away, and it's kind of like a rubber ball just rolling down a staircase. It's ugly if you kind of fixate on the bounce, but as long as it lands on the next step instead of vanishing through a trapdoor, well, the bounce back is still possible. Now, realizing that, I kind of caught myself. If the floor didn't break, then what exactly am I panicking about? The third thing, XRP remains above the 21-month EMA. Now, if you hate indicators, think of this one as a pulse kind of check. Above the line, the long-term heartbeat is strong. Below it, and you might be in trouble. Right now, the price is still above that long-term pulse. So that says that momentum, it isn't dead. It's just breathing, maybe tired a little, maybe catching its breath, but it's breathing nonetheless. Now put all of 3 together, structure is intact, key support is respected, and momentum is still alive. And you get a rather different story than the doom spiral on your feed then, don't you? 𝗗𝗂's conclusion is this: unless those conditions break, he won't call that the bull run is over. And that line kind of hit me like a bucket of cold water, because none of these conditions have broken, not a single one. So from there, the picture gets actually spicier. 𝗗𝗂 argues there's actually another leg up on the deck, with an initial target near $3.90. Now that would be a clean, new, all-time high. It also lines up with common extension levels, which adds confluence. So imagine finally kind of seeing the headline that we've kind of joked about for years. XRP makes a fresh all-time high. It's more than a chart notch as well, it's psychological. It kind of breaks the old ghost that's haunted this community since the last cycle. Now beyond that, he maps a path towards roughly $9.22 from where we are now. That's a monster move, I'll be honest. In that moment, my brain did things that everyone's brain does. I started kind of whispering, mathing the kind of stack, and if it hits $9, that means X, Y, and Z. And then I'll kind of put the calculator down because I've been here before, right? This is one of those analyst scenarios. It's not destiny. But it's enough to argue that the story is not finished, which is kind of what I needed to hear when I almost rage sold. And yes, he floated some higher pie-in-the-sky targets too. $18, $23, even $46, a stretch goal if cycle really does get silly. Now I treat those like the post-credit scene in a superhero film, right? A movie. It's fun to imagine, but it's not part of my base plan. So if we ever kind of sniff those numbers, brilliant. From now, I'm just focused on the kind of nearer kind of rungs on the ladder. Clear $3, print a proper all-time high. Build support where resistance used to be. One rung at a time. Now, eGrag's not the only voice with that rungs on a ladder kind of idea. You've got Matt Hughes, the great Matsby, right? Leans on the kind of GAN fans and sees something rather similar. XRP flipping old ceilings and turning them into floors. But we've battled 50 cents for ages, right? We wrestled with $1. We, at least, back then in 2021, peaked was near $1.96. That was a wall, right? Each of those has, over time, turned into a step. That's bullish market behavior. Climb, nail the rung behind you, and don't fall back through it, right? That is basically the nuts and the bolts. Then there's, of course, the $3 area, right? The final boss level, if you will. And it keeps getting tested. It keeps getting reclaimed. Once $3 becomes boring, once it's a floor that barely even gets a mention, well, that's when things can go parabolic. If you've ever kind of watched a coin move from round number resistance to round number support, then you know what often follows. The chart stops looking like a staircase and starts looking like a ski jump. Now, even macro people have noticed rotation. When capital takes profit from this on the big dog and kind of looks for the next lane, assets like XRP can catch that wave. So when people who usually kind of talk global liquidity and cross-asset flows start acknowledging that shift, and I, of course, pay attention, that's the kind of tailwind that can make a good technicals hit their marks even faster. Now, all of this slammed into me about an hour of late night kind of tunneled vision, right? 2 hours earlier, I was doom scrolling, right? Ready to dump everything. Now I'm seeing the whole different picture. The technicals say still constructive. The analysts say imminent move. And the sentiment in the basement, funny thing about markets, real moves often actually begin when most people have emotionally checked out. So let me say the thing that I have to say, the thing that we all need to hear before emotions push us into silly decisions. Now, this might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. It's important that you always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. Your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video today is for entertainment and educational purposes only. All right, hopefully we are good. Let's get back to it. Now, here's where I landed. I'm not ready to give up on XRP, not like this. I almost let frustration write the ending to a story that isn't actually finished. So imagine if I'd rage sold at $2.70-ish and a few weeks later we're printing a weekly close above $3 and marching higher. I'd have to watch from the sidelines, and that's a kind of special kind of pain, isn't it? I would rather hold with a plan than sell from a kind of place of, annoyance. So I did what the grown-up thing then. I zoomed out and I checked the scoreboard. Even with the kind of pullback, sitting around kind of $2.80 puts XRP way up from a year ago. Massive, frankly, versus most markets. If a friend outside of crypto told you that they had made several 100% in 12 months, then you would assume that they found it a unicorn, right? Now in crypto, we get spoiled and call that a bit of a meh. That's on us, right? Perspective, of course, does indeed matter. Sentiment right now, it's kind of grumpy. People are tired. Some are, threatening to quit. And that's kind of often when the kind of baton quietly passes to the patient. Markets love to make the majority feel wrong for just long enough that they catapult. Then they move. Now, if you've kind of traded through a few cycles, you've seen this film, right? The soundtrack is always the same. Yawns, eye rolls, I'm over it. And then out of nowhere, the kind of tempo shifts. Now, I also kind of had this, at least to be honest about my own plan here as well, because I'm not adding recklessly here, right? I'm not selling in a kind of huff either. I'm holding my core, I'm managing my risk, and I'm letting the charts do the talking. So if those three conditions break, monthly structure fails, key support caves, and we lose the 21-month EMA convincingly, then I'm going to be reassessing. Until then, I'm treating the dip as a plot twist, not a final act. And if you need a place to kind of keep your head on straight, then come hang out with us in our free educational Discord server. It's kind of where we compare notes, we sanity check our takes, and share tools without the timeline drama. Half of surviving a bull run is emotional management. Having a crew that makes it easy, well, that's on you. Now, one last thought on those kind of targets. If you do get a clean all-time high push towards the high threes, then I'm going to be watching how price behaves around $3 after the breakout. Do we retest and hold? Do we slice straight through it and never look on back? Strong markets like to turn old pain points into comfy floors. So if we start printing higher highs and higher lows above $3, that's the market saying new chapter. From there, the path forward, at least towards, I should say, the next big number gets less theoretical. Now, if we don't, and if we kind of just fake out and tumble, that's also fine. That's why we use levels, not wishes, right? A failed breakout that loses structure is information. It tells you to tighten up and to preserve chips for the next setup. None of this needs to be emotional. We just need to forget that, at least in the heat of the moment. I almost didn't last night. So let me kind of wrap the kind of the feeling with one simple image then. Imagine a roller coaster at the top of a long climb. You can't quite see the drop, can you? But you can feel the chain tugging you upwards. Clink, clink, clink. Now that's what the monthly chart feels like to me right now. Maybe we kind of pause just at the crest. Maybe we inch forward, tease the drop. But unless the chain snaps, unless those long-term signals fail, the ride is not over. It's loading the next screen. Now I'm still here. I'm still holding. I'm still watching $3 like a hawk and treating it as the final boss that turns into a friendly checkpoint once we beat it. Now I'm reminding myself that the market doesn't reward perfect entries or perfect timing. It rewards sticking to a process longer than your emotions want to. And I'm reminding you that if you're feeling kind of wrung out, well, that's normal, right? Everyone kind of claps when it's easy, right? The real test is holding your nerve when the chart looks like a heart monitor. Now, if you prefer trading to holding, fair enough. Have a plan, set your invalidations, and don't let a red candle tell you who you are. Now, if you're an investor, zoom out, right? Set your thesis and revisit it only when the facts change, not when your patience does. That's kind of where I am at right now. The facts we haven't changed enough for me to rewrite the ending of this story. So here's my quiet promise to myself now, and to you if you need it. I won't let frustration push the buttons for me. I'm going to let data do that. I'm going to let the levels do that. I'll let time do that. Until then, I'm staying the course. I'm checking in with the crew, and I'm keeping a sense of humor about a market that loves to humble all of us. And if we do get that rocket, well, the clean break, the retest, the run, then we'll tell the story the way that it deserves to be told. Not as luck, but as 1,000 small decisions to stay rational when it was easier to be loud. Now, if we don't, well, we'll still be fine because we kept our rules and protected our capital. Either way, that's a win. All right, so that's my little midnight saga from almost rage selling at $2.70 something to walking myself over the edge with 3 simple checkpoints: structure, support, momentum. It's not glamorous, but it's how to survive long enough to actually have a good story to tell. So if you are still with me, and you're an absolute legend then, aren't you? So take a break, drink some water, touch some grass if you can. Then come back, check your levels, talk to people who, won't feed your kind of picnic and panic, I should say, and remember why you started this, right? The chart is a plot, right? You're just characters trying to make it to the next chapter without doing anything dumb. And yes, one final note for transparency. If you do decide to set up on BitGet or Blowfin, then my links in the description are affiliate links that support the channel here. You can use them only if you want to support the content that we produce. There's no pressure, of course. The real value here is the conversation and the community that we've built around it. Now, I'll see you all in the next candle and, of course, in the next chapter. Until then, though, guys, have a fantastic day. Make sure to smash the like and the subscribe button, and I'll catch you all in the next one.